Hey guys, welcome to my first Lightroom video. In this video, I'll be going through a few of the processes that I use when I'm editing a real estate photo shoot. The things I do is increase brightness, fix composition, cropping, white balance, stuff like that, just to make the photos look a little bit better before I put them into Photoshop. So this is an unplanned video where I just shot myself for about half an hour, going through a few photos that I shot at a pretty low cost house that we did last week in Melton. Basically just, it shows the thoroughness that we use when editing photos and how we need to check every little point so the photo is perfect so you can get the best outcome for your property's listing. This video is also really good if you're a young photo editor or getting into real estate or want to improve your real estate photo editing skills. You might pick up a few things, hopefully you do, of the style that I use when I edit my real estate photo, which all my agents are very happy with. We've been getting amazing result. Guys, the tutorial goes for about 30 minutes. It's unplanned, unscripted. I just go over what I'm doing. It's not the nicest house we've ever shot, but you get the idea. The processes are the same. With a nicer house, actually, there's a lot less work to make it look good. You just kind of take the shot and it looks amazing. But with this place here, it has taken a little bit more work to make the place look good. Here we go. Let's get into it. Hey guys, George here from Real Multimedia. Today I have about 2 hours before I have to leave to go to a shoot. So I'm gonna try and get through quite a few photos that we shot yesterday that need to be sent out to the client. Let's get into it. So what we have to do is just import the photos from yesterday's shoot. Make sure our icon is set to library here. Library, and we're going to click on this plus folders. So we're going to add a folder to our catalogs here. I've placed the files in a folder on the desktop and named it the address of the house. So the one that we're working on next is 205 Station Road. That's the one that we need to do next. Okay, so these are the photos here that we'll be working on. We need to import these into our library. Let's have a quick look. The house was a little lower end budget, possibly a first home buyers. As you can see through the photos here, they're very cluttered. Lots of stuff here on the bathroom sink, which makes it look very unappealing. Kitchen also has a fair few things around. There's a few photos here we need to blur out, some private photos. We also have a few shots of the backyard, which we might crop down just to get rid of this stuff here. Another backyard shot. Master bedroom. I took these photos and it was an older couple who were obviously getting ready to move out. Apparently the house was really cluttered and they'd done a lot of cleaning and tidying up before we came to the property. The agent said he would be lucky to get 2 photos at this place that were good. But we rocked up and he said surprisingly they'd cleaned up a lot of the clutter and mess. So we went around and we took about, I think it was 10 to 12 photos. With the master here, I thought let a bit of natural light in, so we opened up the blinds, just a little bit more natural light in to make it look more appealing. And there's the front facade as well, which we have a car in the shot, which we can get rid of as well. And I'll show you all the processing to do this. Okay, so we go to our first photo. Library. So our first photos, I take 3 bracketed exposures, one at where the meter is reading at accurate exposure. Then I do one that's under exposed and one that's over. And what I can do with that is I can blend multiple photos together. So if I grab all these 3, hold shift, click, right click, and photo merge HDR. This is going to merge the best exposures of all three photos. If you notice here on the right hand side, we've got, it's a little bit too bright, and in other areas it's too dark. So what this process does is it merges the best exposed parts of each photo to create the ultimately exposed photo, which some cameras are incapable of doing in the actual camera itself. So we're going to merge those. We have to be careful with this because sometimes it actually merges the photos and they're not aligned properly, and it creates a blurry look. So here it is. Okay, there's the final exposed image. You just press Z to zoom in and check out the actual clarity of the photo, which it looks not too bad here. It needs a lot of work though. Okay, what I usually do is we click over here to the develop module, and I've got a preset here which is called real estate interior. If I click on this, it's going to line all the verticals and put all of the effects on that I usually do. So yeah, I just click that and bang, it's going to fix all these different variables here. The only thing I usually do custom is the white balance. So I get this picker tool here at white balance, come up and click it on a white area in the room. So in this case, the roof, and it should fix the white balance to look a lot more accurate. Okay, as you can see here, there is a lot of things going on which we can tidy up. But the process that I use is I bring the photos into Lightroom first, and what I do in Lightroom is fix all the brightness and the composition, cropping, etc., verticals, alignment, color. And then after all of the photos have had that processing done, I then move it into Photoshop to declutter and get rid of a few little things like these chords here, and yeah, blur out some photos like these ones here. Yeah, so this photo here, I might just raise the exposure slightly, just to give it that little bit of a brighter look. As you can see here, the hallway is there's a slightly darker opening there. So what we're going to do is just grab this brush tool, just turn the exposure down a little bit, and I'm just going to paint over that slightly, just to add a little bit of brightness down there to make it look not so dark and gloomy and slightly more inviting. It's very good to keep it subtle. See, the front of this coffee table is slightly dark. We're just going to paint over the front of that like so, just to bring it up. Spilled over a little bit here. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And that just brightens up the front of that a little bit. That looks fairly good to me. This photo here is unfortunately not straight. I'll just check the... Next thing I'll do is check the black and white point. So when I hold Alt and click on the black point here, it shows me where the pure blacks in the photo are. So over near these pillows here, we have a pure black, and up on the lights here, we've got some pure whites. I'm just going to raise this slightly because you want some whites to pop through, and put those down a little bit. Looking not too bad. Alright, scroll down. The blues have been turned down. And crank those up a little bit. Adds a little more colour to the couch here. You can also just mute the orange slightly by doing a -10, -10, -10 on those three. Okay, next step is to scroll down and just manually check these verticals. Okay, so they're slightly off, as you can see around this area here. When the lines go on, the gap is slightly bigger on the bottom. So what we want to do is just pull this back a little bit, other way, like so. Beautiful, all those lines are lining up properly and nothing looks bent over, except for this this picture, which is obviously mounted wrongly on the wall. So there we have it. That's our first picture. Brightness done. We're just going to go to the, click on File, Export, and I'm going to call this one, what was the name of the house again? The 205 Station Road. 205 Station Road, Melton West. Put in subfolder finals, choose the location, desktop. 205 station, yes, select folder. Turn that one off. There we go. So we're going to export that one. And that is now waiting to be photoshopped in that folder there. Moving on to the next photo, bathroom. Okay, this photo needs a little bit of straightening up. We'll see how it goes with our filter. New real estate interior, boom, show us what you got. It automatically aligns the verticals. It does an analysis and makes sure all the gaps are right. As you can see, the white balance goes off quite a bit. Running a little bit slow there because we're exporting that last file. Click on a white area with the picker. Boom, looking much better. Just going to brighten up onto this bench a little bit. It does look quite ugly, but you want it to look nice and inviting. Nobody really wants to see a dark and gloomy space. They want brightness. They want it to look nice and bright and inviting. This bathroom could do with a renovation if you really wanted to. That is up to the new buyer to decide. So yeah, just brightening this up a little bit just to make it look a little bit more inviting. Looks a little bit dark and gloomy under there. And this here is slightly overexposed, the curtain. So I'm going to make another brush and just put it a little bit underexposed. And these, we always shoot in RAW, so these files have quite a bit of leeway with brightening and darkening them up. What happens is the computer stores a lot more information when you're shooting in RAW. Bring the highlights down slightly. I think that's a little bit better. There we go, just one more little brightness here on this bottom section here is looking slightly dark compared to the top. So we'll just raise up the exposure a bit there. There we go. Okay, so checking the black and white points again. Bring a few more blacks in. And a few more whites. It's looking a lot better than it did at the start. Here we have our before and after photo. As you can see, that the vertical straightened up makes it look a lot better. The shower screen here is still looking a little bit dark. But yeah, adding a bit of brightness to underneath this bench here has really made this photo look a lot more appealing. And in Photoshop too, we can neaten up a few of these things here just to take this photo to the next level again. There we have a side-by-side version. Yeah. I might just put a little bit more brightness on the bottom of this. Beautiful. Okay, so we've checked our black point. We've got a few blacks in there. The white points, there's a few little white points coming through. What I like to do is just manually check the verticals. As you can see, they look very good. There's no need to change those. So we just export that one. Same settings. And there we have it. Okay, so that exporting process, what that does is it sends the finished photos to the folder here, and it creates a subfolder called Finals. And this is my edited photos, and actually names, I've set it up so it names the file, the name, the address, which makes it a lot easier to distinguish for agents who maybe want to do a quick search of an address to find the photo, and just helps keep your files organized. So there you have the photo, the two photos that we've worked on so far. Moving along, kitchen photo. If I had a bit more time, I would have. We were kind of rushing in and out. We had half an hour to do this shoot, and the agent instructed us to just quickly get in there and, you know, take a few photos, and then we had to head off to the next property. But if we did have a bit more time, we would have moved a few things like these tea towels and that. But he said just yeah, get in there, take a few shots, and we'll move along. So we just try and do our best with what we've got. And a property like this, under $200,000. Our goal is to just get the most amount of people in there for you agents to work your super salesman skills on these interested buyers. This home has a lot of potential, and the motivator for someone to come will be nice, bright, clean-looking photos. Even though the property might not be the cleanest on the market, it's a renovator's delight. We still want people to come to the open houses, and dark, gloomy photos are gonna create less of a crowd on those open inspections. So our goal is to make these photos look the best they can for you, and yeah, so you can sell more properties and sell them quicker. Okay, this photo here, I think I'm going to stick to this one, see how that looks with the preset over the top. Okay, so we've run the filter, it's straightened up the verticals. As you can see, the white balance is completely gone off. So there we have a more accurate reading. It still looks a little bit blue to me. I think that looks a bit better. However, these oranges are real and yellows are really pumped up. So what we can do is just mute those back down. I think I might go 15 on that. Minus 15 on the reds. Minus 15 on the yellows. So you can see if I pull this down, all the yellows in the bench will come down. If I pull them up, you'll really see them. So what we do is we try and make the kitchen look accurate to what it looks like in real life. However, we want it to look the best that it can, even though this kitchen could be in much better shape with all these marks on the walls. I'm not going to ever remove these marks on the walls because that is an actual physical thing that exists there. However, for me to do something like remove this tea towel is okay, but I'll never actually change any physical structure of the property itself, because that is dishonest and basically you're telling a lie, and people will come to the property to inspect it, not see any damage on the photos, and then feel like you're being dishonest with them. And as an agent, I feel like being honest is a very powerful thing too. So okay, I think that looks better now that we've pulled the yellows down slightly on that. I'm going to have to start working a little bit faster here because we're running out of time, guys. I've got to actually leave in about an hour. Okay, so we're just going to brighten up the roof here. It's a little bit dull. I'm just going to start washing all this. We don't want the kitchen to look dark and gloomy. There we go. It's always great when the ceiling looks nice and bright and white. There we go. Looking much better than before. Just pull that brush a little bit smaller and love that. Okay, just checking the black and white points. Still not liking this dark spot in the back there, so I'm just going to hit it one more time with the white, the brightness, and possibly along this area here. Just a few little blotchy parts on the roof here. Alright, so we'll have a look at quickly have a look at the before and after next to each other. See, this is the before and the after. You can see the blown out window here with the highlights dropped down. It has brought a little bit of detail back into that. And just changing the white balance. I think I could brighten up the bench here a little bit. It does look a lot nicer in this one. The cupboards, you could really brought out the grain in the wood a lot more, and overall it looks a lot more appealing than this dark, gloomy kitchen that we see on the right over here. Yeah, I think I might just touch up the bench slightly. Just give it a little brush. Make it look a little bit better. One there, boom. Okay, so checking the black and white points. A little bit of black in the tea towel, which is good. White in the window, love it. Pull the clarity down just a little bit. And checking those verticals manually. They are looking quite good. What you want to do when checking your verticals is just every upright line, like we see here, is just comparing it next to the actual grid line that goes over the photo. In this case, it's looking quite good. So I think that photo is ready for an export. There we have it, moving along to the next shot. Okay, so work a little bit faster this time. Click on our real estate filter here. Straightens up the verticals, hit our white balance, get our brush out, brighten up a few of these dark spots. A bit of a dark floor going on here. Shadows here. I want to just get a new brush, go over the roof, underneath this table. This guy's shadow here, not good. There was the vendor of the house was actually standing in the lounge room over there, and the light was casting a shadow. I can actually fix this in Photoshop later. But these are the things that you run into in real estate photography, which we have to cater for. So we go that little extra mile to make these photos look as good as they possibly can and make the property look as good as it possibly can. Export that. Actually, no. Check the black and white points. White points up slightly. Check verticals. There we have it. Export. Moving along. These outdoor. I've got a different preset for these outside photos. It's I call it real estate exterior green grass. This will actually crank up the green in the grass a little bit. Watch this sky come out with these highlights drop down. Yes, amazing. Slightly too contrasted. I think it's because the blacks go a little bit low. You can bring the blacks up a little bit. Whites down slightly. What I might do with this one is just crop it in a little bit, just to get rid of some of that stuff there. I think that looks a bit better. Shame about this oil patch being there. There's not really much you can do about that. Shed slightly overexposed, so we'll just put a little underexpose it just slightly in those areas. Much better. And onto here, just give it a touch of brightness, just to make it look a little bit more appealing. It's always good when you keep it subtle though. Keeping it subtle, might just drop the overall exposure down slightly. Check that white point again. Check the black point again. I think that is looking pretty good compared to the initial photo. The verticals are good. This fence here seems to be falling over. If I can just pull that up, rotate it to the right slightly, and I guess that makes everything look, that fence look a little bit straighter. Good. White balance on this one. I don't know if that tag there's white. There we go. Just add a little bit more yellow into that. Looks a little bit more realistic. Okay, our greens we can crank up a little bit, makes this grass look nice. If we want to pull down the actual brightness of the grass, you can click on Luminance, go on the grass and just pull it down like that, and it makes it look a little bit darker. So it's pulling down only the greens. And as you can see, it's getting quite saturated, so we want to pull down the greens slightly, put on the yellows slightly. What you can actually do here is on the hue, we can turn the greens up slightly. It's always good when the grass looks nice and luscious. Gets people excited about coming to see the property. And we're not going too far with it, we're just subtly making it more green to make it look more appealing. Saturation on the blues, might just pull the sky up a little bit just to give it that pop. There we go. One little brightness under here. One in that corner. One just there. Boom. Love it. It's ready for an export. Moving along, we've actually got two different versions of this shot because the agent actually asked me why did I move forward? I moved forward to compose the photo a little bit better. As you can see here, the edge of the clothesline and the edge of the shed. It's always good to show edges of where things are situated. If I was to move in slightly from this shed here, you wouldn't be able to tell where the actual shed was situated in comparison to other things. That's why sometimes we include little hints of things on the side, even though you might think to yourself as an agent, why did you show a little bit of the shed and not the whole thing? It's to essentially add more information to the photo. Okay, so we run our filter on this. What you can do is I can run back to the previous photo we did, and I'll just update the settings on this outdoor interior, update with current settings. And that's going to help me to keep all these backyard shots consistent. So now when I click on this one, I can just click real estate exterior green grass. Boom, it's going to do the filters for me. There it is, looking really good. As you can see, the lens correction hasn't been done properly, so we're going to have to manually go in there and fix that up. Rotation. See if it'll do it. Vertical. Auto. No, it doesn't want to do it properly. So these gutters are all out of line. The clothesline is off. So I'm just going to rotate that. There we go. looking much better than before. Might just quickly skim over this with the brightness brush just to bring up the house a little bit. Makes it look much more appealing. A few little spots over here. Beautiful. Guys, thanks for checking out this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something. If you want more videos like this, please comment in the comment section below, let me know. I want to do also a more in-depth tutorial where I'm showing you the actual settings that I'm using to create the preset, because in this one I just kind of clicked on the preset and it just jumps straight into the edited photo. So I'm going to show you how to make a preset, exactly what settings I use, and how you can actually elaborate or change them as to what suits you and your style. It's very important to have your own style as a photographer, and I've created this own style for myself, which agents are very, very happy with, and I'm slowly tweaking it as I go along and learning and doing new properties. Always learning, everyone always is. Guys, if you like this video, please click the thumbs up. Tell me what you think in the comment section below, and yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.